Croeso, welcome back to Britain's Hidden History with me, Ross Broadstock. We've got some exciting news here where we've got some new publication from Wilson and Blackett, which is the original Odyssey. What's happened here, Wilson and Blackett, with their usual genius, they've taken the story of the Odyssey, about Odysseus. Now, officially and supposedly, this story is about him trying to find his way home from Troy, northern Anatolia, all the way to Ithaca, which would take you 2 or 3 days of sailing. And yet the genius, the cunning, the devious, and the inventor of the Trojan horse and the taker of cities, the wonderful explorer, is said to have taken 3.5 to 10 years to get across the Mediterranean. So something clearly doesn't add up. Now, the premise that Wilson and Blackett have done, they put together the details from the story. It's like a nautical adventure. Sailing instructions are given in the Odyssey, such as they sailed south for 9 days because they're driven by the winds. Well, there's for one. You can't sail south for 9 days in the Mediterranean without hitting North Africa. You'd end up somewhere in the Sahara or something. So it's clear. So the idea is, where did this journey take place? And what they've done by following these sailing instructions is, logically, this journey must have actually been a circumnavigation around the world. And that's what this book is all about. It's finding out that journey. Now, the other thing Alan Wilson has done is actually find out who made the original journey. And he's traced this back through the Egyptian records to show that this is a reference to a famous journey made by an Egyptian in the sort of 7th century BC. So that's what the cover of the book looks like. And it's not going to be published as a hardback for quite some time. So rather than hang on to this, I'm going to make it available as a download. The link will be there. Just go to cymroglyphics.com. It is copyrighted, so you're not meant to just pass it around your mates. Please, it's only £3. It's not asking a lot. It's not even a pint of Welsh beer for £3 these days. So you go through there. There's the great men as they were back in the 80s. Yeah, back in the 80s. This research, they've had this story just sitting there for 30 odd years. Amazing, isn't it? So the book will give you the details of who the characters are in the Odyssey, who the main characters, how they connect with ancient Egypt. This is the key. And you'll find that and there's discussion then how the currents work. Although a lot of this is in part 2, which will follow. Also will be £2 or £3, where you do a lot of research to show, yes, this is physically possible. And yes, there is some physical evidence which does seem to support that this kind of journey, it took place. Whether it's exactly this person or exactly this date, very difficult to tell. But by looking at the technology of reed boats, looking at journeys of people like Thor Heyerdahl and other explorers, then looking where the reeds are, it's like this huge, massive rabbit hole we're currently having a look at. And then you look at this and you think, well, if they sail south through the Red Sea, all the currents are against them, why would they suddenly end up there? Then you realise this is January. And if you go to the July map, which I think is there as well, then all these monsoons turn round. And before I know it, they could be getting swept down into this area. Might even intended going that far. Next thing you know, you're coming through the sort of Polynesian areas and Borneo, and you're sliding down the side of Australia. And this is where you get the references in the Odyssey to these sort of extra long days, which implies either North Pole or South Pole, because you're getting hardly any nights. And if you're strong enough, you didn't need sleep, you could work 2 shifts a day, is how Homer describes it, which doesn't make any sense at all in the Mediterranean. Then we have the journey following these currents there, and the only way you can really get back, it's very difficult to get back this way, everything's against you, is to come around here across the Pacific, possibly stopping at Easter Island, and then sweeping around southern tip of South America. The winds that will drive you into the Falklands, which is where you see the cows of Zeus, being the sea lions and that, they're around there making those noises. And then you follow the currents again. You can follow the journey all the way back. This is crucial, going through what's called the Straits of Magellan. And in part 2, we'll explore more about Magellan and why the straits are called that and how long ago they seem to have been discovered. And also looking at the routes taken by modern sailors and how they would pretty much take the same route, except they start from Europe. And they have to do around the Cape of Good Hope and the bottom of Africa. And then they come to here. And then pretty much they take the same route as Wilson and Blackett have deduced. Now, I don't think they looked at any of that. They've just worked it out from the Odyssey. Whoops, this picture's got loads of pictures, tells you a little bit about how the Egypt chronology. This is original journey. This is where the Greek heroes, Agamemnon, Menelaus, all these people, who Helen was, why she's important. And then we're following, well, you can read about the names of who the actual journey was made by. If you also go to the live 112, you'll see a lot about this journey, so I'm going to go into it all now. But you can see the details is Troy and good old Odysseus was lived around here on Ithaca, which is like, no distance, but there we are. And then we talk about this is their characters in Egypt. Loads of background. I mean, it blew my mind when I first read it. This is the official journey. You can see bobbing around the Mediterranean for years, apparently. Ridiculous. And on it goes is the journey we're proposing. Might be slightly different. I haven't seen the currents. You might sweat around there, a bit of a curve. Come down and back into land. But this is the basic idea. All right, so there's lots of maps, lots of pictures. You can see where they went, how they got there, possible routes, some artwork, all sorts of stuff. I get through the States to South America. So it's great. I have to say, I like it very much. And I've been wanting to put this book out. But the more we look into how these journeys are made and the routes, this just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it could take years. So we're on a living document, as it were. So part 1, this contains everything written by Wilson and Blackett. You're not missing anything. There's nothing in part 2 by Wilson and Blackett that's been added. It's just more research by myself, Bob Morgan, and other people in Britain's hidden history who are taking research to the next stage to see what we can find. And if it does actually work, who Helen was, this kind of stuff. All right, so cool. So I hope you like that. There's loads and loads of books, as you know. If you go to the Britain's Hidden History website or just go to cymroglyphics.com, you'll find loads of their work and other writers who don't fit the mould and have difficulty getting stuff out there. So hope you buy a copy. Only £3. How can you really go wrong? So hope you do that. Until the next time. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. And thank you for all those who have already downloaded and bought copies. Brilliant. The books and that are our only revenue to keep this project going, and it's really important. This is our past, and all this ties in with ancient Britain's past as well. It might seem a bit of a why is this related at first, but it all ties in. The language, connections, the history, everything. So I hope you enjoy it and you support our work. And until the next time, my very best wishes, Heddwch, which is peace.